If I could have everybody's attention here in the media center, we will go ahead with our pre-race media availability for tomorrow's Kansas Lottery 300. And it's my pleasure now to be joined by Daniel Suárez, driver of the number 19 Eris Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Daniel, you enter this round of 8 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series chase as the top seed, but big story here. You got to go to the White House this week. Could you walk us through that trip, and how was that experience for you?
Yeah, it was a cool experience. It was a good week. It was really cool to be for the first time in the White House and to be able to talk to some kids from college, from high school, and to give them an advice. I think that was something really good, and to do it in the Hispanic Heritage Month. I think that's something really cool as well. You know, for me, just it's just a great honor to be in this position right now and to be able to be in NASCAR and obviously to be a Latin driver and to be able to help or to try to help all these kids that are coming along from school, from college, from all these different places, obviously to be successful in life.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you here. If you have a question for Daniel, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Kenny and come up front to Sean.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Daniel, you were one of 2 drivers, 2 Xfinity Series regulars to get a win in the first round. What did you learn in that first round that maybe will help you guys, since this is the first year you guys have actually gone through a chase scenario?
Well, I learned that in the first race of the first round, the intensity level, it was very high. It was definitely more high than what I was expecting. I thought that everyone was going to go out there to try to be smart, to be consistent, and to try to make it for the next round. And that wasn't the case. Everyone was going for the win, and everything got a little crazy on the first race in Kentucky. But honestly, I'm very proud of everyone in the 19 Eris Toyota Camry, Juniper, Intercept batteries, the Walt, everyone that has been on this program in the last races, because everyone has been doing a really good job. We had 3 races with 3 top 3s finishes, which I think is something really good for the first round. We have to do exactly the same thing for the second round, and after that, try to put ourselves in a good position for Homestead and put everything we have for that last race and the most important race of the year.
The intensity level of that first race at Kentucky, did you feel like that carried over into the other races? And do you think maybe the first race of this round will be similar to that?
I think it will. For some reason, I thought that everyone was going to be more relaxed on the first race, but for some reason, everyone was very, like I said, the intensity level was very high. And then for the second race, that it was lower, everyone was more relaxed because everyone was a little bit too crazy on the first one. So I won't be surprised if it's the same on this second round. I don't think that I don't think that I got super crazy in Kentucky, and we end up with a pretty good result. Actually, I feel like we should have won that race. We just came 1 lap short. But like I said, I'm very proud of my team. I felt like everything that we learned in the whole year, we are trying to put that in the most important part of the year, that is the chase in the first round and the second round, and obviously the last race in Homestead. And so far, it's been working out. So hopefully, we can keep it up and move forward.
Come up front to Sean.
Sean Roney, Dos Mundos newspaper here in Kansas City. Daniel, I mean, with what you've achieved, visiting the White House, being the first Mexican-born driver to win a national NASCAR race, et cetera, I mean, there's obviously a lot of pressure on you to continue to perform at a high level. Just how are you managing to cope with the extra pressure that's on you?
Well, I think, I have had pressure in all my life since I got in racing. I think if you can handle pressure, I think you're in the wrong sport. When I was little, my family didn't have a lot of money to put me in racing, so So I knew that I needed to do well to be able to get a sponsor for the next race. I had a lot of pressure back then, so I think that, like I said, I have had pressure all my life, and for me right now to have a little pressure here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series is not a big deal. I'm very used to that, and that's something normal for me.
Go next to Brian and then back to Jerry.
Brian Eberly, Motorsports Tribune. Daniel, when you look at the three tracks in this round of the chase here, Texas and Phoenix, what one do you think will be kind of the most difficult or challenging, maybe a little bit of a wild card, and which one are you most confident going into?
Well, this is something good for me personal. That if we look all the races from the chase, first round, second round, and Homestead, all these racetracks are pretty good racetracks for me. Kansas is one of those racetracks that I've been here just once last year. In Homestead, I'm pretty much in the same situation because we don't get to go to these places a lot, just once every year. Since last year was my first year in the National Series, so it really was my first time. But I feel pretty good. Phoenix has been a really good place for me as well. Sometimes I call Phoenix like my second home because a lot of people are very, very nice people over there, and the racetrack is really good. I won a race there in the NASCAR Mexico Series, and it's been really good for me. Texas obviously is really good as well. A lot of family goes to that race, and we were pretty successful there. And here in Kansas, we raced really strong last year here. So I think we have. I think in personal, I feel like a little lucky that almost all the races that we have in the chase are strong races for me and for my team. So I feel pretty good for all of them. Hopefully we can have a little luck in our side and do our thing in the racetrack.
Okay, we're going to go to Jerry, and then to Chris, and then back up front to Sean.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires and Performance Racing Network. You talked about the intensity of the first round and then what you expect for the second round. How do you strategize that in the car? Do you go out there and race like a crazy man, or do you go out there and methodically pick off laps? When do you know to do what you need to do to get to the front?
So that's a difficult thing that you never know. You have to understand that you are racing for a championship. You are racing for the big picture, and that's what some drivers forgot in Kentucky, and they end up wrecking. So that's never a good thing. I was almost in a few wrecks. Well, I was in one of them, but I survived. And that's something that we have to keep in mind the whole time, because if you forgot that for 1 second, maybe that second it was the most important, and you get into a wreck. You need to be aggressive when you need to be aggressive, but when you are a little bit more than what you should, you can get into an accident, and that can cost you a lot in the championship. Maybe one of the perfect examples is the 3 team. They didn't make it for the next round, and definitely they were a strong team to be contending for the championship. So that's the consequences that can happen if you get a little bit too crazy. I feel like I said, I feel like we've been doing a good job with that. We've been pretty consistent, not just in the chase, but the whole year, and that's something that we have to keep doing.
Go to Chris Knight, and then up to Sean again.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Daniel, with your success in the Xfinity Series this year, how much of an advantage is the Truck Series going to come into play, especially as you get deeper into this chase scenario? I think you're expected to run Texas, Phoenix, Homestead, and trucks.
Well, for some reason, this year it's been very different for me to race the trucks and the Xfinity car. I feel like last year helped me a lot because I was a brand new driver pretty much in most of the racetracks. This year I don't think it's been as helpful as last year, but definitely there is always something there that you can learn about the racetrack. The racetrack changes every year, so if you can learn about a new bump that is over there, a new seam that is on the racetrack or something, that is always good to have some extra laps. The balance of the truck versus the car is very, very different. Aero-wise is very different. The way that KBM works is very different than the way JGR works. So, it's different. I feel like it's going to be helpful for sure, but I don't think it's going to be as helpful as everything was last year for me personally.
Sean?
Daniel, on local sports talk radio the other day, there was some talk about the playoff format in NASCAR, and that when it was introduced, there was kind of some grumbling about it in the racing community, but drivers have come to embrace it and accept it. What is it about this format, the chase format, that appeals to you?
Well, I think everything is about the intensity and how comes into the play to be a smart driver and aggressive driver at the same time. I think fans love that. I think fans love the way that the format changed everything so many different times, and that's something good. I think we come through adversity on this kind of format, and we have to learn from this. I think I mentioned this last year. Since we have in the Cup Series this format, the chase format, I think that was something very smart from NASCAR to put this format as well in the Xfinity Series and Truck Series, because eventually young drivers want to move up to the Cup Series. So we're going to start learning about this format. We're going to start learning about how to work, how aggressive we need to be, or how smooth we need to be, since the lower divisions like the Trucks and Xfinity Series. Because once we get the opportunity to move to Cup one day, we are going to be already very familiar with the format, with the chase format.
Good deal. Well, Daniel, I really appreciate taking the time to join us, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.